Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and her name was Ella. She lived with a lady who was cruel to her and made her do all the work and was always yelling at her.
You'll never amount to anything, you clumsy, lazy, ugly beggar. Get a move on you. Do the dishes, scrub the floor, sweep the fireplace, clean the cinders.
The lady's 3 daughters were just as bad. They were always ordering her to do this and do that. It went on like that all the time, and poor Ella was always so busy and so covered with dust and cinders from the fireplace that no one could tell that she was really the most beautiful girl in the whole world.
Look at her, all covered with cinders. That's what your name ought to be, Cinders. That's it, Cinders. Cinderella.
Well, Cinderella never had a happy moment. One day, Cinderella was cleaning the house, and she saw a beautiful engraved invitation from the prince's palace.
Oh, an invitation to the palace ball. Oh, but they'll never let me go with them. Oh, I'm so unhappy.
And just then, the lady and her daughters came back.
What are you doing with that invitation, you kitchen slave? Don't think it's for you? Oh, won't she look fine at the costume ball?
Please let me go. I'll be so quiet. And I'll hide in a corner and...
You'll hide in a corner, all right. This corner, right here near the fireplace. Now, come on, daughters. We can't keep the prince waiting.
So off they went to the ball, leaving poor Cinderella all alone to clean the fireplace. She was so unhappy, and she cried and cried. And all of a sudden, she saw a little man, no bigger than your thumb, come out of the chimney and walk up to her.
Now then, Cinderella, none of this here crying. Got a lot of work to do and no time for tears.
Jiminy Jeminy, aren't you tiny?
Never you mind about my size. I'm your fairy godfather, I am, and I'm here to help you, I am. You want to go to the ball, don't you?
Oh, yes, but...
But, now you save your butts for the billy goat. Just do as I say.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Well, hurry up then. Get me a pumpkin and get 3 white mice. Then come back here to me. Very busy, got lots of magic.
So Cinderella did everything the little man told her, and when she came back, he danced around her 3 times, waved his wand, and said,
Cabbage and turnips and spinach and stuff. Let everything change until I say, enough.
And the moment he said, enough, Cinderella's old ragged dress was turned into the most beautiful pink silk evening gown, and there were lovely ribbons on her hair, and the most wonderful rings on her fingers, and on her feet there were the most beautiful glass slippers you ever saw.
Come on now. No time to admire yourself. Lots of things to do. Open the door now. Hurry up, hurry up.
And when Cinderella opened the door...
Look! The pumpkin's turned into a beautiful coach. And 2 of the mice have changed into beautiful white horses. And the other mouse has turned into a coachman.
Into the carriage with you and off to the ball. But remember, at the stroke of 12, you better be out of the ballroom or no telling what might happen.
Oh, I'll remember, Godfather dear. At the stroke of 12, I'll be out of there and on my way home.
Now, when Cinderella got to the ball and the prince saw her, he said,
Why, she's the most beautiful girl in my whole kingdom. What is your name?
But Cinderella was too excited to answer. She just couldn't find her tongue. Well, the prince danced with her all evening until all of a sudden the clock started to strike 12. And Cinderella remembered her godfather's warning, and she dashed away, and one of her beautiful slippers fell off, but she just managed to hop to the carriage on one slipper and got home just as the clock finished striking 12. And the moment she got to her home, the coach turned back into a pumpkin, and the horses and the driver turned back into mice, and all her beautiful clothes turned back to rags. The next morning, there were lots of noise and excitement in the street, and they rushed out to see what it was. It was the prince's servant, and he was reading a notice.
Everybody pay attention! Where's the pretty lass with the slipper made of glass? She'll be the prince's bride if her foot can fit inside.
Well, you can imagine the excitement. The prince started to go from house to house trying the glass slipper on all the girls, but it just didn't fit any of them. Finally, he came to the house where Cinderella lived.
You won't need to go any further, noble prince. That glass slipper will fit one of my daughters all right. Try it on, daughter number 1.
Well, they pulled and they pushed and they tugged, but the slipper just wouldn't go on.
You try it on, daughter number 2.
But it wouldn't go on her either. And it was the same with the third daughter. And just as the prince was about to leave, he saw little Cinderella sitting among the cinders.
Is that one of your daughters? We didn't try it on her yet.
Why, she's only the kitchen maid. She's got a foot as big as a canal boat.
Well, anyway, she's the only one who hasn't tried it on.
And sure enough, the glass slipper fitted Cinderella's foot right. Just at that moment, who should come down the chimney but the fairy godfather? He waved his wand and...
Cabbage and spinach and turnips and stuff. Let everything change until I say enough.
And there was Cinderella with the same beautiful pink dress. And the prince put his arms around her and kissed her, and they got married, and they lived happily ever after.